There are truths in this world that many avoid speaking aloud, truths that make people uncomfortable, that shake the foundations of how we view relationships and human nature. One such voice that dared to confront these realities was Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher known for his uncompromising honesty and often controversial insights. Whether we agree with him or not, his words continue to challenge us to question what we take for granted. Schopenhauer believed that beneath the surface of attraction and desire, there exists a raw, often unsettling reality about human nature, especially about the dynamics between men and women. In his works, he stripped away the romanticized illusions and asked us to look at the instincts, motives, and deeper truths that society often prefers to ignore. It is not an easy perspective to hear, but it forces us to think critically about what drives human behavior. In this video, we will confront these harsh truths head-on. Not to discourage, not to divide, but to gain clarity, because sometimes understanding the uncomfortable side of human nature is the key to becoming stronger, wiser, and less naive. Are you ready to face what few dare to speak about? Let's begin. For Schopenhauer, one of life's greatest tensions lies in the battle between love and reason. Love, he argued, is nature's trap, an overpowering force designed to blind us to rational judgment. It convinces us that another person is uniquely meant for us, when in reality, nature is simply guiding us toward producing the best possible offspring. In this sense, passion is an illusion, carefully constructed to override logic. Reason, on the other hand, seeks clarity and long-term stability. A man may recognize that a relationship is impractical or even destructive, yet the irrational fire of love pushes him forward. Schopenhauer believed this conflict was evidence of how deeply nature manipulates the human mind, particularly through women, whom he saw as the focal point of desire. Men are drawn to them not purely out of free choice, but under the compulsion of instincts that serve a hidden biological agenda. This creates a painful reality. The very feelings that seem to elevate us, the intoxicating emotions of love, are also those that can lead to poor decisions, suffering, and disillusionment. Schopenhauer did not celebrate this. Rather, he warned that without awareness, individuals risk becoming slaves to forces they barely understand. For him, wisdom required acknowledging love's irrationality and resisting the temptation to let it dominate one's life. Schopenhauer argued that much of what we call romantic love is in fact a carefully painted illusion. Society, art, and literature have wrapped love in layers of poetry and fantasy, making it appear as if it were the highest expression of human emotion. Yet beneath this romantic idealism, Schopenhauer believed the true driving force was nature itself, specifically the survival of the species. In his eyes, attraction was not about eternal bliss, but about reproduction and the continuation of life. This perspective can feel unsettling, especially for those who have been raised to believe in fairy tale endings. To think that the passion between a man and a woman might not be about divine connection but about biology challenges the very foundation of how many people view relationships. Schopenhauer stripped away the veil of sentiment and forced us to see desire as a mechanism rather than a miracle. By exposing this illusion, he invited us to ask difficult questions. Are we truly choosing the people we love, or are deeper, unconscious forces guiding us? If much of our attraction is driven by nature's silent hand, then what does that mean for free will in love? This harsh truth might feel cold, but it also offers clarity, reminding us not to be blindly swept away by romantic ideals that may, in the end, hide the reality of human instincts. Schopenhauer believed that women's choices in love were not simply emotional or spiritual, but profoundly shaped by nature's agenda. To him, the female instinct was primarily guided by the continuation of the species. This meant that attraction often leaned toward men who seemed strong, resourceful, and capable of providing stability, not because of romantic poetry, but because such traits increased the chances of survival for offspring. From this perspective, female desire is not random but strategic. Even when a woman feels she is falling in love freely, Schopenhauer would argue that her subconscious is assessing strength, health, and suitability for reproduction. Love becomes less about two souls meeting in harmony and more about an ancient biological strategy hidden beneath layers of sentiment. This is one of the reasons he considered the passion between men and women as a form of nature's manipulation, using the illusion of love to achieve its own ends. This view can sound uncomfortable, even cynical. It strips away the mystique of romance and presents desire as a practical tool of survival. Yet by examining female attraction through this lens, Schopenhauer forced his readers to look deeper. Do our desires truly belong to us, or are they quietly directed by instincts older than civilization itself? And if so, how much of our relationships are built on conscious choice versus nature's hidden plan? Schopenhauer described women as instruments through which nature disguises its true purpose. To him, women embodied a paradox. They appeared fragile, delicate, and in need of protection. Yet they wielded immense power over men by igniting instinctual desires. This power, he argued, was not consciously chosen by women themselves, but was part of nature's design, an elaborate deception meant to ensure the continuation of life. According to his philosophy, nature uses women as the bait for men, drawing them into bonds that feel spiritual and romantic but are, in his view, ultimately biological. The beauty, charm, and tenderness associated with femininity were seen by Schopenhauer as masks, surface illusions that conceal the raw, reproductive intentions beneath. Thus, what men perceive as attraction or love is not necessarily about personal fulfillment, but rather about fulfilling nature's silent command. This perspective paints human relationships in stark, almost brutal terms. For Schopenhauer, the tragedy is that individuals believe they are freely choosing their partners, when in reality they are following a script written by nature itself. In his view, women represent the most effective form of this deception, appearing innocent and desirable while steering men toward decisions that are often irrational and costly. For Schopenhauer, the greatest tragedy of human relationships lies in the illusion that love creates. He argued that men, driven by desire, often make choices that sacrifice their freedom, wealth, and peace of mind, believing they are serving personal happiness, when in reality, they are serving nature's agenda. In his view, this blindness is the root of much suffering. For men confuse fleeting passion with lasting fulfillment. Marriage, in particular, was seen by him as the ultimate trap. Schopenhauer claimed that once the initial spark fades, men are left to bear the burdens, financial, emotional, and existential, while women continue to act as agents of nature, securing stability for themselves and their offspring. To him, love was not a partnership of equals, but rather an arrangement where men unwittingly paid the price for nature's hidden plan. This cost, Schopenhauer suggested, extends far beyond individual relationships. It shapes society itself, binding men to responsibilities and obligations that limit their freedom. The family unit, though cherished by culture and tradition, was in his philosophy a mechanism that enslaved men under the guise of love and duty. The illusion, therefore, was not just personal, it was structural, influencing the very way civilizations were built. Schopenhauer's words may sound harsh, but they were never meant as empty cynicism. His intention was to strip away illusions and force us to see the raw mechanisms behind human relationships. For him, truth, no matter how bitter, was better than comfort built on lies. In confronting the realities of desire, love, and social expectations, he believed men could reclaim a measure of freedom and clarity that otherwise slips away unnoticed. Yet this does not mean that his philosophy must be taken as a rejection of love or partnership altogether. Instead, it invites us to approach relationships with awareness, discipline, and a recognition of the forces at play. When we understand the psychological, biological, and societal pressures that shape our choices, we are less likely to fall blindly into traps and more capable of entering relationships from a place of strength and self-mastery. Perhaps the harshest truth is not that women act as nature's instruments, but that men often refuse to see what is in front of them. To live with wisdom means to balance affection with reason, attraction with discernment, and passion with responsibility. This is where Schopenhauer's challenge becomes most relevant, not to abandon love, but to engage with it consciously, free from the illusions that enslave so many. So let me ask you, do you believe Schopenhauer was too pessimistic, or was he unveiling a truth society still avoids today? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to know whether you agree, disagree, or perhaps see a middle ground in his philosophy. Would you like me to now prepare a summary-style outro that ties Schopenhauer's views back to Stoicism and modern life, so it feels more actionable and relatable for your audience?